Professional artist Robert Grogan, Bachelor of Business Administration 1970, is probably the best example of how second acts can be amazing. Act 1 starts out in Bandera, Texas, but his parents soon moved to the big city of San Antonio, where Robert spent as much of his youth as possible outdoors. He loved to draw pictures of the things that caught his eye out in the wild. As a high school senior, he accepted a relative's invitation to visit the San Marcos campus, and from that moment on, he knew he wanted to be a Bobcat. At 6 feet 6 inches, he was the tallest member of the color guard. Talk about standing out in a crowd. And of course, he continued to draw. One of his sketches made the cover of the San Marcos phone book. Bob was elected to the Student Senate and was a member of what would become the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, and managed to graduate in 3 years. To pay his way through college, he worked at the Brown School in San Marcos, and it was there he met fellow Bobcat Lee Hardiman. 5 years later, they were married. Inspired by listening to President Lyndon Johnson talk on campus about how Texas State had given him a sense of purpose and responsibility, Grogan spent 4 years in national service, 2 with the Peace Corps working in Venezuela, and 2 years in the U.S. Army. Then, using his business and data processing skills, he began a career that spanned over 2 decades, primarily with state government in Alaska, dealing with energy and environmental regulations during the tumultuous years of oil and gas development in the nation's largest state. 20 of those years were spent as director of Alaska's Coastal Management Program and as a budget analyst for the Alaska legislature. By 1992, Robert had had enough of state and federal bureaucracies and began not retirement, but rather Act 2. Being the full-time artist he'd always dreamed of being. His specialty was plein air painting, that is, painting outdoors in nature, using a limited palette of only the basic colors, red, blue, and yellow, and white, to produce the full range of colors, and working within the constraints of nature's continually changing light and weather conditions. And Robert Grogan has become a master, drawing students from around the world to his outdoor classes in Idaho, Wyoming, Arizona, Texas, even as far away as Africa. He has been a lecturer at the South African Society of Artists in Cape Town and has spent most of the past 9 years there painting primarily in the Kalahari Desert, which is not so much a true desert, but a vast savanna range teeming with wildlife, and where a relatively immobile 6-foot 5-inch bipedal artist, armed only with brushes and oil paints, looks very much like lunch. During his time in Africa, Robert has mentored a young man from Zimbabwe, Alex Zananga, who has himself become a professional painter, gaining recognition in the region and beyond. The culmination of Grogan's time in the Kalahari is a critically acclaimed book of his paintings and photographs published last year. Grogan's vibrant, evocative artwork is in demand both here in the U.S. and abroad as his reputation grows. The Alumni Association, on behalf of Texas State University, is proud to honor Robert Grogan as a distinguished alumnus for 2014.